Hello and welcome to another episode of the Gaming Perspective podcast, episode 3 of season 2. So welcome to another episode. Today, just as a gentle, friendly reminder, you can support this channel and everything we do on this channel by supporting us over on Patreon, www.patreon.com/gamingperspective. That is not mandatory. We appreciate all of those that listen to us and support us, whether you listen or just troll us in the comments, which I had to do a lot of comment moderation on the last episode. So I appreciate all of you guys and all your input, and all the feedback has been great since we switched formats. So I really appreciate that. So on to introducing today's panel. We've got a full house today. So on my left, as usual, from the Inner Circle Games Network, news editor Samuel Tolbert.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And also on my left, I have Jared, the affiliate program director for the Inner Circle Games Network.
How's it going, everybody? Happy to be here. Let's get talking.
And also joining me from Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Mr. Eric Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to be back.
Good to have you back. And I
do exist. I'm real.
You're I'm a real boy, as Eric spirals into a depression of Sekiro. And I'm, of course, Nicholas Downey from the Inner Circle Games Network. I just take the piss, and that is my official job title.
I'm pretty sure your official job title is editor of reviews and previews.
I like to see the business card that says "Take the piss."
That'll have to be his business card when he goes to his E3 for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal with the card? Don't ask. I'm asking. Well,
I can see it now. Inner Circle Games Network, Nicholas Downey, review editor, official piss taker.
They would get their interest real quick, and they'd remember you. That's for sure. Just saying.
I'll be.
You gotta do what you gotta do to stand out.
Maybe I'll just leave little, instead of business cards, I'll leave little USB sticks with my business card saved on them around the hall.
Oh my god.
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with the Borderlands 3 jokes at this point. So it's another week. It's another episode. So we're going to briefly talk about what we've been playing this week. We have a ton of news to talk about. So I will start with Sam. Sam, what have you been playing?
Actually, I've mainly just been playing Halo Wars 2. I haven't had a lot of free time in terms of, with E3 prep and getting so much stuff recorded and written up and reviews and all that sort of stuff taken care of before I head out late next week on Friday. But yeah, I've mainly been playing Halo Wars 2 because a couple of my friends have gotten back into that. A couple of my brothers have. And so, yeah, that's been fun.
Absolutely. Halo Wars 2 is a great game.
Right now.
Eric's like, I miss having fun playing video games.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you can explain to everyone what you've been playing.
I am in the land of Sekiro for what seems like months upon months upon months. No, actually hasn't been that long. You think about it. It's been, a month and a half since the game came out? Or is it a little over that?
Yeah,
2 months, right?
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea. It's not because I'm not enjoying the game, but how these games go. So, and my time has been sporadic at best. Like by the time I get down to play something, this is not the kind of game to play when you're the least bit tired.
No,
it's,
not at all.
Yeah. So you finish the day, you get that window to be able to game, and you're like, I want to play Sekiro. Okay, all I can do right now is farm. I can't take on any bosses. So it's going a little bit longer than I probably would like, but yeah, I'm enjoying it overall. I am stuck on a boss right now, though.
I mean, isn't that game just being stuck on bosses? Like every time, with previous FromSoft games, I always felt like there was a sense of accomplishment because you'd kill a boss and then you'd have to go through some mobs and do another about half an hour, 45 minutes of gameplay, and then you'd hit another boss. Sekiro, it's literally you finish the boss, you hop a wall, and you're like, oh, look, there's another one.
Yeah, it is very much their most boss rush type game that I think they've done.
By far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the environment areas are they're a lot smaller than what they previously were.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't realize that when you first start the game, but then as you go through, you definitely get the sense that it's a small game. And then you talk to people who are on their second or third playthroughs, and they're finishing the game in like 10 hours, if that. Some people are running it faster.
Mm-hmm.
But area wise, it's definitely not that big. It's definitely boss rushy. If that's a thing.
Hopefully you'll be able to escape Sekiro and play some more relaxing games. I would suggest some Stardew Valley to counteract all that stress. Jared, what have you been playing?
Not a whole lot. I did just start Life is Strange for the very first time yesterday, so that's been actually kind of enjoyable to play. I don't normally play this game, so it's been nice. Go ahead.
I was like, it's been hella lit, fam. Carry on.
No.
No boss rushing that game.
Right? And then I guess this one is a bit of a boss rush one. I've been playing actually Dauntless since it came out onto Xbox, and I've really been enjoying that. Monster Hunter light game that's for free, and it's got like a Fortnite battle pass along with it. If you want to pay for it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it's been pretty enjoyable too. There's a little bit more depth to it than I thought. So yeah, it's been keeping me entertained.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you've been enjoying Dauntless. I've been meaning to play it. I download it on every platform I own, but I'm trying to blast through some reviews. I get them out before E3, and then I'm going to sit down and just play some games that I've really been wanting to play, but can't justify the time for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll move on to myself. I finished up A Plague Tale. Review is up and out, and if people are kind of interested in that game, I highly recommend going in and checking my own review, because I'm kind of full of myself, and I think it's a pretty damn good review, and I think it's a pretty damn good game. So, and I think more people definitely need to check it out, especially with the future of Asobo Studios. I really think they could do something special with their next game, especially if they learn from some of the minor complaints I had from this game. I'm also now on to Rage 2, which is the most conflicted I've ever felt about a video game in a long time. Mm-hmm. And it's actually dragging for me. And the main reason it's dragging for me is because, and this is going to sound like a complete dunk on both games, is after the very lackluster world of Days Gone, coming into this open world that's very lackluster as well, I'm like, God damn it, someone just put Witcher 3 in an IV bag and put it in my neck. For the love of God.
Sort of one uninteresting world after another taking its toll on you.
Yeah, it's the same kind of problem I had back in, I'm going to say, like 2017, where every game that released that year felt like it was a 100-hour open world game. These games are considerably shorter. Days Gone was not. But is it really that hard to make an interesting open world? That seems like... My problem with Rage 2, I'm going to briefly talk about this before we jump into the news, is the gameplay is so good. The combat is so amazing. Very early on, there's a sewers level where you have to go and restart up a turbine. And it's great because it's hallways. It feels very linear like Doom. And it feels fantastic. The gameplay energy is tight. Everything's great. The shotgun plus overdrive may be the best thing in any video game possible. And then you get into the open world, and then you're like, well, I've got to drive for 3 minutes to get to blasting people into oblivion again. And it's the high-low feeling that's so hard to maintain, because the combat's such a high, but everything else is such a low. And I don't know what you could do to combat that. And it's interesting enough for me is because, like, with Rage 2, I can officially say I don't want an open-world Doom game. I don't want it. Maybe a hub game, maybe, but I really don't want to see Doom go open world, because the gameplay, with how fast paced it is, how high action it is, it's really hard to keep that energy through a large, expansive world. And it's interesting. It kind of checked off the list of I'm okay with Doom being linear for the rest of its existence. I'm perfectly fine with it.
That's not a bad thing, honestly.
No, and after playing A Plague Tale, I kind of realized that I miss linear games.
Yeah, it just has to be done right. You have to make sure you're going through the steps correctly on where you climax the story correctly throughout the game. You don't have any slow or any stalls throughout the story. If you make sure everything flows correctly, a linear game can be very enjoyable.
Exactly, and I think the problem is that we started getting a little too long in the tooth with linear games. Like when linear games started reaching like 20, 30 hours, I was like, oh, okay, this is too much. And then we had these open world games that were 20, 30 hours, like the early Assassin's Creeds and some of the earlier Far Cries. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, oh, here's 100-hour. I'm like, oh, okay.
I think what you're getting, I think what's happening now, and I'm all for this, is, and I think Days Gone was a holdover, being that it was in development so long. That's why that game is the length that it is, and it feels like filler, right?
Yeah, it feels like a 2014 game. Extremely.
Right. I think what you're getting now with developers who are either doing linear or semi-open world is like they're moving away from that. The fact that you feel like you have to do an open world to give the game value, or you have to give the game a certain length for it to be $60. They're realizing, no, we can do, $30-$40 for, 15 to 20 hours, get in, get out, tell the concise story that we want to tell, whether it's, linear, semi-open world, and people are down with that. Because I think also 2014 and before, you weren't getting the same barrage of games that you're getting now. It's fast, furious, and weekly. So people's attention spans, their time, their money is being spread out. So you have to think about a way to get in and not waste people's time, Because I think it's definitely more attractive to people now to hear that a game is 20 hours. Because it gives you the opportunity to play more games. Definitely, when we were, growing up or when we were young or whatever the case may be, you may only get that one game for $60. So it was okay if that game was, 80 to whatever hours, because you were going to spend most of your time in that game. But now it's like, I'm ready to get on to the next one, and this game is holding me too long. Mm-hmm. If it's not especially if it's not interesting.
And to be brutally honest too, and people seem to forget this and have selective memory, there are very few games I remember that one playthrough took 100 hours. Very few. Even Baldur's Gate, which was an 8-disc game on PC, was only a 60-hour game, and that's if you did everything.
Right.
And that's considered an in-depth, like, Dungeons and Dragons RPG. Like, I don't know how long the runtime on some of, like, the older Final Fantasy games, but I feel almost like you could cut down on all the remedial open world stuff and deliver a 30-hour open world game. People are going to be happy with that. Mm-hmm. And I really think Far Cry 5 is an epitome of that, because that's about a 25-hour game, and it's Ubisoft's best-selling game ever. And to me, that speaks metric volumes about what people actually want.
Right.
And I think having games like Persona 5 and things like that are 100-hour games, that's fine. That's for a specific audience. I don't think they need to go away, but I still don't think Assassin's Creed games need to be 100 hours.
No.
There's no world where I wanted Assassin's Creed 2 to be an 100-hour game. I was happy with the 25 hours I put into that game. It's very hard to make a game completely interesting for 100 hours. And even people that really love games like Persona 5 even admit, they're like, oh, the first 15, 20 hours are rough. And that's the most unattractive statement to me about a video game. Mm-hmm. Is when you sit there and you're like, well, first 15 hours really suck. It's like, well, that means it's not that great of a game.
Right. I think they're like holdovers again from an era where that was kind of like the thing. Mm-hmm. So that perception was you can give someone 15, 20 hours of tutorial and they were okay with it, because again, that's all they were going to play. But times have changed. We're not in that kind of world anymore, and some of these developers need to adjust to that. And some of them are. Some of them have,
Yeah, and that's the thing. You gotta give credit where credit's due. Like Obsidian with Outer Worlds saying that's gonna be a 30-hour open world RPG. I'm like, perfect.
Sounded amazing when I heard that news. I was like, yes.
Music, sweet music to my ears.
Yep.
Exactly. I'd rather have a focused plan. That was my biggest problem. Was I was reading a review from a peer on Days Gone, and the legit line in their review, and they gave it a 9 out of 10. They're like, Days Gone is a masterpiece, except for the first 20 hours is very slow, but the last 20 hours makes up for it. I'm like,
Eh?
What?
Somewhere in there lies the truth, I guess.
I'm like, pardon? So the first 20 hours suck, but the back half's great. So that makes up for the first 20 hours.
And think about it. You say 20 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to equate Days Gone to this, but 20 hours is a long time when you really think about it. But so if someone told you to like kneel on rice for 20 hours, you'd be like, what? You know? So,
Hey,
it's like,
you know what? If you lay down on this bed of nails for 20 hours, I'll give you the most comfortable bed for the 20 hours after that.
Right. So I did notice that. I noticed that with Days Gone, depending on who you spoke to, they're like, it's a really great game. Once you get past the 20 hours, it's like, that's not a good statement. That's not a good statement to make. You know?
No,
it's bizarre. It's really, really bizarre.
Right.
I said this to you guys in DMs before, and I'll say it again. I feel like that game was polished backwards, if that makes sense. Like they started at the end, and Nick knows what I'm talking about, and they developed it from there because the end part is the most developed, and then towards the beginning, it's just like, what were you thinking?
Right.
I don't understand. I don't know.
Well, based on the length of that game, I put it like this: that was at first it was going to be the game I was probably going to try to jump into after Sekiro, but I'm going to hold off.
No, it's not a game. Like, if you're looking for a short game to break up the Sekiro, the Bloodborne stuff, that's not the one to do it.
No.
That's not it.
No, I need
Eric, if
palate
I was to recommend it to you, Eric, I would honestly say wait till summer when you're off for a bit and then tackle it.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan.
Because like you after doing Sekiro, play a couple of short games. Like buy the Castlevania collection, have fun with that. That's my game plan after Rage 2 is I'm going to play the Castlevania collection.
Yeah, I picked it up on Switch already.
Oh, you filthy people with Nintendo Switches. This actually segues perfectly into our next topic, though. So this works out great. And I'm doing, for people that have been listening, I'm actually doing timestamps now as we record this show. So you guys could skip ahead to the juicy parts, and you now will be able to skip anytime I start talking about Baldur's Gate now. For those,
you're putting in Baldur's Gate timestamp. Oh, that's funny.
So we're going to dive into the news. And of course, one of the biggest news from the past week, of course, has been NPDs. So we're going to cut it into really consumable pieces here. So regarding hardware sales, Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console of April 2019 in the US. Total video game sales, 842 million, up 1% from this time last year. Hardware's down 29%, down to 160 million versus 225 million, which is expected with the generation winding down. PC and console software, 427 million, up 15% from the last year. And video game accessories and game cards are 256 million, up 5% from 243 million last year. Really good numbers. Hardware's going down. That's nothing to worry about. Next generation's on the way. People aren't buying consoles like they were last year.
Switch is actually up year over year. I want to point that out. The Switch is doing fantastic. It's just that the PS4 and the Xbox One are down so much.
And the big part of that is no one's worrying about a next generation Nintendo console right now because Switch literally just came out like a year or two ago. Yeah. So people aren't sweating new Nintendo hardware, but Xbox and PlayStation have been very blatant about new hardware coming. So, of course, people are going to adjust accordingly. Now, game sales ranking based on dollar sales, not units. So the best-selling game of April 2019 was Mortal Kombat 11. I want to get it, but I refuse to pay full. Good. I refuse to pay full price for Mortal Kombat when Mortal Kombat X with all the DLC dropped to like $5 less than a year later.
Yeah, so, I don't do that anymore. Like I wait for the complete collection, which will come.
Yep,
complete with the K.
Yep. Full of Ks, just like this NPD article from Sam. Clever play on the claims.
I couldn't resist, man. How many opportunities was I going to have to do that?
I don't know. Ask Boone. He seems to find endless reasons to use it. Oh, man. So Days Gone came in at number 2, which is great for Sony Bend. It'll be interesting to see how it tracks next month. Of course, MLB The Show comes in at number 3 because baseball, apparently people care about that. Yeah, I don't get it. Number 4 was Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Number 5 was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 6 was The Game That Never Dies, Grand Theft Auto 5.
You cannot kill it.
Nope.
I was just keep selling so many copies. I don't
People
understand.
buy a console and then they buy GTA 5. That's
just
it is the game that people buy more than
Yeah,
any
no
other.
kidding. Hand in hand, eh? Just goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it just never stops. Sekiro Shadow Die Twice at number 7, which is great for FromSoft. They typically don't.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see a FromSoft game have that kind of staying power month over month. That's good.
Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is at number 8, which is a severe drop-off for Call of Duty titles. They usually stay top 5 for what feels like forever.
Mm-hmm.
NBA 2K19, I contributed to sales of that in April because I finally caved because Raptors are playing well enough that I want to play a basketball game now.
To the finals they go.
It's only took us 24 years.
It only took you a few months to learn all the controls.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I started my career because I needed a break from Rage 2. And then I realized how I'm better at physical real basketball if I am at 2K. Mm-hmm. And I'm very depressed about that. And number 10 is Yoshi's Crafted World. And falling down from 11 to 20 in quick succession, Red Dead Redemption 2, Mario Kart 8, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Minecraft, which how? Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which is the longest game title that never needed to happen. Final Fantasy X and 10-2 HD Remaster.
That's really surprising. I'm really shocked that many people picked up that remaster.
I'm really shocked people still buy Final Fantasy games. Number 17 is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 18 is Jump Force. Number 19 is Battlefield 5. Yeah, Jump Force, right?
People are literally, with the warnings and everything, are still buying Jump Force?
Dude, anime fans are something else.
Yeah, man.
What if I always maintain, guys, weebs don't have good taste?
Aren't you a weeb?
That's what makes them weebs.
How am I a weeb? I'm like the anti-weeb. I'm like the polar opposite of that. And the final one at number 20 is Borderlands.
Man.
Which I'm guessing, it doesn't say, but I'm assuming that's the remaster that was
correct.
released.
The remaster is counted, as just regular Borderlands. Why? I don't know, but there you go.
So Borderlands made the 20th spot. I guess people still
What do people care about that game, Nick?
Yeah. We told you, Nick. We tried to tell you.
Oh, no, I know people care about it. I just think people have terrible taste.
Oh, Lord. If you don't mind me homing in on something, Nick, I found this interesting. Mortal Kombat 11, not only was it the top seller of April, it instantly became the second best-selling game so far this year. Would you guys know what the top-selling game this year is so far?
I can't say because I'm looking at the list, so it'd be
okay,
cheating.
Eric and Jared, do either of you know?
Let's see, top selling this year that came out.
I would assume Call of Duty, honestly.
You think it's Call of Duty, okay.
Let's see, Resident Evil 2?
Good guess, but no, Resident Evil 2 is in the top 5. But the top 5 sellers of this year to date, so, almost, it's first 4 months, it's not counting May yet, are Kingdom Hearts 3 at number 1, Mortal Kombat 11 at number 2, The Division 2 at number 3, Anthem at number 4, and then Resident Evil 2 at number 5.
I forgot about The Division.
4? Good. Wow, I'm actually surprised on that one.
Well, it's also important to note that this week, once again, citing Reddit, so take with grain of salt, someone actually managed to get a soft player number count for Anthem this week on Xbox One. And when I say soft, I mean they did some mathematics that kind of makes sense. And
I read that too.
The player base is under 3,000 people currently.
Yeah.
And people there was a gentleman who did a live stream to show how dead Anthem was across all platforms. And he tried to queue up matchmaking and he was waiting in between of about 6 to 9 minutes to match up with other players.
Yikes.
So Anthem sold well. This is why I always tell people, you could sell a game great out the gate, but what's your sustained power?
Yeah.
I think it's the kiss of death at PvP.
Yep.
No.
They need PvP. They need PvP because that's the content that people will play while you're working on PvE content.
Because while people complained about Destiny and all of its problems, there's still PvP.
Yep.
Yes. And that's what I think I heard BG mention, that you can still get a game in The Last of Us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
instantly.
actually, The Last of Us is one of the most populated multiplayer games in the PlayStation catalog. It's actually in, I think it's not like massive, but it's in like the top 20 most populated online games on the PS4. From what someone was telling me, which is impressive. But that's a really fleshed out multiplayer too. But still, it's pretty sad when your new AAA IP game is being overperformed by a game that's legendarily known for its single player. Because let's face it, people buy The Last of Us for the story. The multiplayer being good is just a byproduct.
And it's funny because, you know, like, when a gamer likes something, they really feel like everyone else is wrong. And you remember when Jason did that story and people were like, yo, that's a hit piece. It's not a hit piece. It's not a hit piece. It's based on...
Don't I remember a certain member of this podcast telling me that I was a big Anthem hater and that I would be proven wrong come the game's launch?
Yep.
Like, who?
That was me.
I got the petty hat on today.
You know the difference between Jared and other people?
And it was still damn good at launch. I still put 120 hours in that damn game.
You did.
There was just no damn end game content. There was no end game. There was no end game.
And conversely, that is the person who BioWare has let down. The people who were rocking with them from the beginning, put that time in, put the money down, and for them to say it's a a beta game. It was still in beta access or early access. We're like, wait, what? You know?
Yeah, it's like, huh? What are you trying to pull? And not only that, but the end game content that they were going to bring out in May, which was still way too late, has been delayed. And guys, did you know it has been over 1 month since the official Anthem account tweeted?
There's been silence on almost all ends since like not even 2-3 weeks after it got launched. It's been ridiculous.
And I'll tell you this: when I saw that early access comment, I said, "No, my buddy Jared put $60 down. That is not early access price." Or no, you put more than that, didn't you?
And see, I need to clarify for some people.
Oh yeah, way more.
Slow-mo bought like the ultimate edition of that game.
I did too.
I've got to clarify for some people too, because some people have messaged me and were like, "Oh, why didn't you ever call Jared out on the Anthem thing?" And there's a really good reason for it, is because that game made him suffer enough.
No, but not even that.
But this is what I mean, though, is like what I want to get, like what I'm saying is why I mean it made him suffer enough is this is a game that Jared has been talking to me about since I've known Jared. And this has been like one of his most anticipated games. And yeah, I like poking fun at Jared. It's fun. It's all nothing but love. But I was so mad when the game released. It was broken as hell. And then you had people like Jared and George, who also listens to this podcast, who were putting like 80 to 100 hours into this game despite being broken, on the hopes that their interest and their love for the game would translate to BioWare doubling down and fixing the game. And instead, it's the complete opposite, and they've disappeared off the face of the planet.
Right. And I'll say this too, like if people were thinking, why don't you give Jared a hard time? Because there's a difference in someone being excited for a game.
Yeah.
Looking forward, because that's the spirit of what gamers, I think people forget that. That's the spirit of what a gamer should be, right? At no point was Jared ever obnoxious about it. Like, we would goof on each other about it, but it was never like how you get some people who are willing to sell the farm on a game coming out and you can't tell them any different.
Yep.
If you make a comment on it, they're ready to like scream at you and dunk on you. No, it was never any of that.
Nope.
So you end up feeling bad. Like you said, Nick, you were making the joke, but it's true. You go, he suffered enough. There's nothing else to say.
Like
they got abandoned.
Like Jared having what Jared went through with Anthem is what I would compare. Like if Baldur's Gate 3 was released as a open world third person action RPG with microtransactions, is how I feel about Jared with Anthem. I would be heartbroken. I'd be like, no, this isn't what I wanted, and I just disintegrate.
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating, honestly. It really is. It has been.
Again, it's like I think I saw someone say the EA thing. It's like they have a team which is known for great multiplayer, making single player, and they have a team that's not known for like multiplayer or known for single player, making a multiplayer, open world, always online game. What is going on?
I have no clue.
It's bizarre. I don't know. EA and Activision have one thing in common, and that is both these publishers need to get some stuff figured out.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean other publishers have done things perfect. Bandai Namco, Square Enix, Bethesda Softworks, they've made mistakes, but all those publishers have also put out incredible games this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Activision and EA really need to get some stuff figured out.
Look,
and I hope for Respawn's sakes and for EA's sake that Jedi Fallen Order is incredible. I really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least we know they're capable of making a good campaign because Titanfall 2's campaign is just bananas good, right?
Nothing to worry about there, say.
But then I remember like people saying like not to beat this into the ground, but I remember when they were working on Anthem and seeing debates go back and forth. Well, why can't they work on something different? Why do they have to be pigeonholed to making? And it's not being pigeonholed. It's different when a developer, let's say like Guerrilla, works on Horizon Zero Dawn off of Killzone. They're still working on something that's theoretically in a wheelhouse. It's not a first person, but they're not saying, hey, we're no longer making this type of game. Now we're going to make an open world, XYZ, all this other stuff that you've never known them to make.
Yeah.
And then, granted, Horizon could have gone either way, but I'm saying BioWare wasn't really known. It's like, if they wanted to say, look, we want to make a first person shooter, I'd be like, oh, good for BioWare. They're going to try to make a first person shooter. Down with that. But when they were like, we're making an always online open world XYZ, and I'm like, whoa, that is hard to get down. It's like, and I mean, Bungie's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And judging from all the Destiny fans in my Twitter feed, they still haven't figured it out.
Right. Right.
Nope, they haven't, because I'm one as well. I put easily thousands of hours into those games.
I just have a question. Do you have a wheelbarrow for all the games you love, just underperforming your expectations?
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing here, okay? My one game I'm really been looking for my whole life is something that could be my World of Warcraft on console. That's what I've been looking for, and I haven't been able to find a damn thing since. And Destiny's the closest thing that's ever been to it, because it's like, it literally is the best FPS MMO type or like game out there. It really is. The gunplay mechanics, everything that they got built is great, but you can tell being under Activision was not a good thing to happen. But it seems recently, from what I've been paying attention in regards to Destiny and how they've taken control of the game since being apart from Activision, they've really been listening to just what the fans want, instead of listening to what the fans want and only doing a little bit of what they want and kind of just bungling the rest, just kind of dropping the ball on everything. Now it looks like they're really pushing really, really hard to make sure the fans get what they want. I was kind of hoping that would continue or be something like what Anthem is, because I could see the potential in that world. I can see where it could go. I could see everything that it could be, but it just is not that at all. That's the biggest letdown, because I really, truly was hoping that maybe there might be something a little bit more. I just kept playing, got to the end game, tried to figure out exactly what the end game was, loot mechanics, the gear sets, loadouts, everything like that, the resistances, your gear builds, crunching numbers and all that kind of fun stuff, because I used to do that a lot for World of Warcraft, and I was definitely let down. And I do hope Anthem gets back to that one day, but I don't think it will, and I think I might always be looking for that one World of Warcraft type game on console that will keep me going for 8 years on one game. That'll be worth my time and investment.
I mean, your only hope at this point is if they port World of Warcraft to console. That's your only hope at this point.
Basically, yeah. Mouse and keyboard support's already here, fellas. Next gen's coming. Come on, bring the port over.
The Division is kind of off and on too, right? Division 2.
Yeah, but you know what? That's definitely the better. I think the better aspect of everything what I am looking for currently, because the Division 2, for everything all said and done, is exactly kind of what I'm looking for, but it's not the right type of game for me personally.
Right.
I respect that. So we'll move right along here to the next topic, which is Call of Duty.
Ooh.
With that discussion out of the way, our next topic will...
All right. Settle down. Settle down.
I filed this one under Who Gives a Shit.
So,
go ahead.
2019, we're demonetized now. I just hope you guys know that. I was demonetized when I said taking the piss. So,
I forgot about that, man.
Oh, well, I won't be able to make my 3 cents off the channel. 2019's Call of Duty will be called Modern Warfare. To answer your first question, no, we have not traveled back in time to 2007. The year is indeed 2019, and we will be getting a rebooted Call of Duty Modern Warfare later this year. So this is based off a tweet from a YouTuber named Long Sensation, who has been long associated with Call of Duty. And his tweet simply said, Call of Duty 2019 is called ... Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'm not joking. Normally, I don't take insider tweets too seriously because, this guy could just be like having a laugh. But this information was then further corroborated by Jason Schreier in an article on Kotaku. Apparently, Activision is looking to do a soft reboot. And that is their exact word, soft reboot of the Modern Warfare series. This generation has been filled with many games finding a new identity while building on the skeletons of their past. Can Call of Duty do this? It is definitely intriguing to see Infinity Ward return to the Modern Warfare series after the duds they had with Call of Duty Ghosts and Infinite Warfare. And Modern Warfare is probably, I'm going to say, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going to say it's the most highest held in regard by Call of Duty fans.
Which is no surprise why they're soft rebooting to that name.
Bingo. First off, I don't see the problem. First thing I'm going to tackle is, first off, I don't have a problem with them calling it Modern Warfare and dropping the number. Because, come on. If we were going to get particular, then God of War should have been God of War 5. Well, they say 4, but everyone tries to pretend Ascension never happened. But games have been dropping the numbers all generations, so I'm not going to hold it against them for changing the name. I am very intrigued, though, in terms of what's going on with Call of Duty, because typically we already know what the game is and have seen gameplay by this point, or a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't seen anything yet. So it kind of makes me wonder what's going on with Activision. There's also a small detail that I didn't put in my article because I couldn't find sourcing for it. Is in the Kotaku article, they said they wanted to dive deeper into the emotional standard they set with the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2. Which, as everyone knows, that mission was optional and banned in some countries due to the fact you basically mowed down an airport full of civilians with an LMG.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see what their game plan is. I kind of feel like they're maybe going for a shock and awe reveal where they're going to do something insanely controversial just to get people talking about Call of Duty again.
I mean, you tell me it wouldn't work.
No, I don't say it wouldn't work, but you got it in this atmosphere, in the way games culture handles controversy in 2019. I'm not sure doing a 2019 version of No Russian is the wave. This could seriously backfire on them, especially if you consider the political climatization of everything that went on in Modern Warfare 2. It's an interesting thing, and I always thought that Call of Duty had typically gotten away from the modern times era because of the political climate, and it's interesting to see them go back to it now. So it makes me wonder, what's this going to shape up like, and what is this going to be? It's interesting to note that at the end of the Kotaku article, they cited saying we'll probably find out more next week. So we might, by the time this episode uploads on Friday, this game could have been revealed.
Very possible. It's very possible.
It's very possible. So keep in mind we record this on Sunday. So if it's already been revealed and Call of Duty's embroiled in some political controversy, I predicted it prior to that. Any of you guys gonna pick up a Modern Warfare game in 2019?
I
have
doubt it. There's so much that comes out potentially in the fall time because we all know there's going to be September, October, or November on the release window for Call of Duty. Usually November, around November 11th, it's going to come out. So honestly, by that time, there's probably going to be too many games. There's probably going to be Gears of War, Gears 5 coming out around probably earlier than that, and whatever else fall releases being announced at E3. So probably not.
Here's what I'll say. They would have to absolutely blow me away.
Yeah.
With what they do. It would have to be jaw-dropping. Oh my God, what on earth is this? This looks incredible. You've addressed so many complaints. You're taking the story seriously, that kind of thing.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm kind of like with Sam. I was going to initially say, no, I don't care. I don't really care about Call of Duty anymore. I haven't really, truly cared about it since Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Sam said, it would have to be like insane, like just something that I just could not ignore, and I really don't think that's going to be the case.
I will say this, and people can disagree with me on this or not, but Infinity Ward has never made a bad Call of Duty campaign. Never. Call of Duty Ghost, the campaign was the only thing good about that game. Oh, actually, no. The co-op Aliens mode was amazing. The multiplayer, just throw that entire thing in the bushes, though. Like, forget that ever existed. And Infinite Warfare, same thing. God, zombies were garbage. Multiplayer was garbage. But that Kit Harington playing the villain in that was so good. And I still don't understand why they hired Conor McGregor to punch your guy in the face once, and then you never see his character again. Still don't understand that marketing idea. We're going to play Conor McGregor $5 million to punch a character in the face once.
It's
and then
Conor
you never
McGregor.
see.
The market that. Actually, you know what, Nick? I take it back. I did play Infinite Warfare's campaign, and it was good.
It was good. It was great.
Yeah. Infinite Warfare should have just been a standalone campaign.
Yeah.
If there was a standalone campaign mode, I would buy that.
Exactly. That was the one with Troy Baker, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Really good campaign. It looked great too.
Yeah, like I said, Troy Baker, Kit Harington, it was a great campaign, and the space missions were a cool spin that I thought was really awesome that they brought in.
Yeah.
But I will say that, they haven't made a bad campaign, so I'm interested to see the campaign, but I haven't paid full price for Call of Duty games since Infinite Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I bought that was for COD 4 Remastered, honestly. And I think that's why everyone bought it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how I ended up getting it. I think it was like, you know what? There was like this price error at BrandsMart, and it was literally like $6.
Okay, yeah, that would do it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of with Sam. Like, I don't care about the multiplayer. If the campaign is like mind blowing, like Titanfall, people are like, "Oh, you gotta play this campaign." I'll jump on that, but not for $60.
Yeah,
it'd be down the line,
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too. Like the days of my friends, there's so many multiplayer games out now that the chances of my friends picking up on Call of Duty again is pretty slim, I'm thinking. So we'll see where it goes. I'm glad to see the campaigns coming back. They could skip the campaign in Black Ops 4 because Treyarch doesn't make good campaigns outside of the original Black Ops. Their campaigns have been convoluted sci-fi garbage for so long now. Like I don't know why they got away from what do the numbers mean, Mason? That was a top tier meme back in that was like almost 10 years ago now. But it is what it is. We'll see where Call of Duty lands next. It should be interesting, especially in the upcoming weeks. So moving right along into the next one is, I typically don't throw these in the topics list, but because it's so close to E3, I feel it's worth talking about. We're going to talk about Microsoft's conference length. And I typically don't like talking about conference length because it usually doesn't matter. It's like the whole last year, if everyone remembers, the show floor space controversy, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I've argued with people over square footage of space for like houses and stuff, but like video game conference, come on. So
Right.
Microsoft has an unusual opportunity at E3 this year, with Sony announcement that there will be no PlayStation conference during the event. As the only first-party publisher with a major E3 conference plan, that looked like Microsoft is not going to squander this rare opportunity. In fact, the Microsoft E3 2019 presentation will noticeably longer than any other Xbox E3 conference in recent memory. Microsoft has indicated that this year's conference will be roughly 2 hours long, according to the graphic buried in a video found on the Brazilian Xbox YouTube channel. So, for the sake of context, the Xbox conference last year was 100 minutes long, while the one before was roughly 95 minutes long, according to Reset Error member Richu. Ever since the 2016 Xbox conference, the length of Microsoft presentations has increased by 5 minutes per year. So, it's also important to note that a footnote is in here that Samuel Tolbert, we all know that guy. This is just the amount of time that Microsoft has reserved, and the actual conference may be shorter than 120 minutes. So,
yeah, it could be that thing where in case they run long or whatever.
Or you know, the fact that it sometimes takes a minute or two longer to start, or you want the sizzle reel. Like, I would be doubtful if it's actually 2 hours. I'd say it's probably like 110 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
It could literally be that thing where, no, never mind, because it's at the Microsoft Theater, right?
Yeah, this is the Microsoft.
Yeah, it could be that, literally be that thing where it's like you like when you cater something, you pay for more than what you need, so that way you don't get overcharged. It can literally be like that.
Absolutely.
You know,
that way it's like, okay, we'll have 10 minutes for people to exit the room or something like that. You know?
So we don't get hit with another charge or whatever.
Nonsense aside, I'm as excited as hell for Xbox's E3, not just for brand future and everything else. It's because this is the only place we're going to see third-party content outside of Ubisoft, Square Enix, and Bethesda. This is the only place that third parties have a chance to show off their stuff. And there's a ton of games that I have a ton of questions about that I'm hoping to see. Like, we know Cyberpunk's going to be there. How much are we going to see? We know, like, there's so much up in the air. There's not really much to talk about with this. It's important for the audience to know that this is going to be a big deal. It's also important to note that Sam sent me a tweet from a gentleman that people most likely, if you watch this show, you follow him on Twitter, Benji Sales, put out and said that Xbox could have had a very conservative E3 to plan on a huge 2020 blowout, but they decided to go all out. And he reiterated that fact with someone made the tweet to him and said, "Wow, I can't wait to see all the third party multiplats that I'll be able to play everywhere else." And he said, "Then you're in for a very what was the phrasing, Sam? It was something along the lines of, you're in for a very big surprise then."
He said you're in for a shock that's not even a half of what they're showing, or something like that.
Yeah. If I can't remember it, I try to paraphrase and not make it a huge deal. Like, this isn't a megaton deal, but I'm excited, but my expectations are in check, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, I think that's where all of us are. We're all pretty level-headed here. I'm like a small child with E3. Like, when people are like, E3's dying, I'm like, shut up. This is like Christmas in June.
I'm the same way here. I'm exactly the same way, because it's exciting to see what's going to be coming out. The new technology into gaming, it doesn't matter who it is, where it's from. There are new games you're seeing that you might be able to play eventually, or probably will end up playing. That's nothing to not be excited about, sort of thing, right? Like, it's just like, it's E3, guys. Come on.
Like, I love seeing on my Twitter, and they're like, no excitement for E3. Okay. I'm just like, do you just not like video games? Like, I don't know.
Don't worry.
I felt for a long time.
They'll be talking about that. They'll be talking. Don't worry. They'll be like, oh yeah, E3's irrelevant now. That's why you're going to be talking about E3 for like a month and a half, 2 months, once it's done.
Right. Yeah, I said Twitter is not the place to go if you like video games.
Yeah, no. It's Reset Era is not a place to go if you like video games either. NeoGAF is where you really go. No, I'm kidding. Don't
Oh,
go to NeoGAF.
no.
Someone is going to cut that and take it out of context. You do understand that, right?
Yeah, I know. I've been kind of taken out of context before. It's fine. I'm used to it.
In all seriousness, though, it is exciting. You know, as long as you keep things reasonable, it is an exciting time.
Like, if you're one of these people that sets ridiculously high expectations for everything in your life, then yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But for me, I'm just... E3 is such an exciting time for me, and I understand industry people. Like, I want to make things clear because some people think I was saying... someone commented on our last episode when I said I don't understand people not being excited for E3. And people thought I was taking a shot at Tony Polanco. And I'm not. Tony has been in the media forever, and he's been to dozens of E3s. So him saying E3 doesn't jive with him anymore, I imagine after you've been to like 10 or 12 of them, you probably get pretty sick of them. I can imagine that. There's tons of industry folk that have said they're tired of E3, especially now that the public's all in there and you've got fight for spots and everything else. I get the industry folks saying, we're tired of E3, it's getting old. I respect those people. What I don't get is if you're a home-based consumer and going, E3's useless. I'm like, hold on. Didn't you fight with me for 3 weeks after E3 about who won E3? Like, wasn't this isn't this a thread discussion that goes on for like a month after, and then all of a sudden, it's not important.
Yeah, and the whole who won E3 is such a social media thing.
Oh my!
I've never liked that. I understand.
It's so born of social media.
I think it's a good idea to have discussions about implications for publishers, like Colin Moriarty. He did a great job last year with his videos on Colin's Last Stand, talking about the different publishers and what it meant for each of them. That's cool. That kind of thing is fine. But stacking them against each other, it's like it robs it of context. Sometimes one publisher has something to prove. Sometimes another publisher, it's okay to only do this or that. It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I always tell people with Sony and Microsoft, the biggest comparison with this E3 has been, oh, well, Sony can still win if Microsoft jumbles the show. I'm like, no, because Microsoft's out here showing off the games that we're going to be playing, and Sony's being very selective right now. Everything at Sony's up in the air right now. I don't even think necessarily they 100% know what their game plan in terms of when software is releasing. They have their hardware planned out, but things like The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, I think they're scrambling to get those done in a timely fashion, which more power to them. They've been very communicative with State of Play and everything else. And I like the format and all that stuff, but it's going to suck not having Sony at E3 because they always... Like, even last year, the Church of Sony thing was a little melodramatic, but I enjoyed that conference. They showed off amazing looking games. I think people get way too hung up on presentation and not the actual content. Yeah. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I would say too, if someone says that to you, ask them, what's the measure of winning? Mm-hmm. And who is the winner? Because if you say, well, do you think the whole of Microsoft sits around and feels like, hey, we won, or do you think they just felt like we set out to do something, we feel we accomplished that, and we're now, on to our next thing that we have to do? Same thing with Sony, same thing with Nintendo. I don't think any of them sit back and go, well, we stomped their asses this year.
No, they win or lose on their own merits compared only against themselves.
Right. When they feel they lost is when they're sitting in a boardroom in a conference call and they're going over numbers and they're like, well, that didn't hit. That's when they go, okay. They're not sitting around saying, they're all about the fan hype and the excitement around it, but the whole who won. Because if you go by the measure on Twitter, all that means is it's the same people who are the fanboys who will say, well, I'm not surprised that you feel like Sony won, or you feel Xbox won, or you feel that's what you kind of rock with. You've been doing this since 2013.
Look,
so hearing you say they won E3 doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, and see, the metric I always did with E3, I never looked at who won, but which company, I'm critical of all companies, and what did they do to please me as a consumer?
Right.
And my biggest complaint with Xbox's E3 conferences previously was too much talking, not enough games. And last year's E3, yes, there was a multitude of multi-plat games and everything else, but they delivered game after game after game, focused on one feature, back to game after game after game after game. That's what I wanted from them. I was happy after that E3. And with Sony, I wanted to see those big games they were working on. And they showed off those big games in a very overdramatic fashion, but they showed them off and they looked amazing. So I sat there and went, yeah, both of them had great conferences.
Right.
And like, you can argue pacing, but if the content that a company's delivering makes you happy, then who really won? You won.
Well, people hate when you say that. I won E3 as a consumer. Oh, shut up. That's not really.
Yeah, no, I
you need to pick. You need to be with us and pick one.
It's like the same thing. People get mad when I'm like, yeah, I'll take a State of Decay 3 over a third Last of Us game. They're like, oh, blasphemy. I'm like, what? I just like the game. Like, it's not like I'm trashing it. I'm not saying The Last of Us doesn't need however many games they're going to make sequels out of it. I'm just saying, like, this is my preference. This is what I enjoy from them. And that's it. It's just I don't understand people getting all hubbubbed about everything. It's just like E3 is amazing. Period. End of story. And if you're sitting there going, well, E3 sucks this year, it's like, oh, so you only care about one group of games then. You only cared about PlayStation's offerings. You never cared about Ubisoft, Bethesda, Squeenix, and you never cared about any of these other developers. It's only what PlayStation offered you. And I think it's the same thing as if Xbox had pulled out of E3 and then people were like, and then Xbox guys have been going, oh, well, E3 doesn't matter anymore. It's just as stupid. I understand from PlayStation's perspective of why they did it, but I don't understand why, as fans, you have to back it up. You can still sit there and go, whack.
Are they like? Are you someone that's never excited for any multi-plat game ever? Like, do you only play exclusives? Like, is that something you only ever strive to play from one brand? That shouldn't be something that happens, man. You're doing yourself a disservice, honestly, as a gamer. Like, damn.
Well, and like that's my biggest thing is like it's like I see on Twitter and there's like a certain demographic of people that are like, 2019's full of crap games. There hasn't been a single hit yet. I'm like, what have you been playing?
Right? Exactly.
They're like, outside of Resident Evil 2 remake, there's no good games this year. I'm like, what? Like, I understand being disappointed. There's been years where I've looked at games and been like, yeah, this year wasn't all it's chopped up to be. But like 2017, 2018, and so far 2019, like, I have no complaints. Like, my biggest complaint is, can we like stop making games for a whole year so I can catch up on all the other games?
Yay.
But it is what it is. People complain for the sake of complaining. On to something that I'm really excited about. So, Man of Medan. Yeah, I need to learn how to pronounce things. The new game from there we go. The game from Supermassive Games launches in August. So Supermassive Games, for those that don't remember, are the creative minds behind the 2015 horror game Until Dawn. They also have developed a host of PlayStation VR titles such as Hidden Agenda, The Impatient Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, and the absolutely terrible Bravo team. Back in 2018, they announced a new project, which is the Dark Pictures Anthology. The purpose of this anthology is to provide unique horror stories contained within each game. The first game of this anthology, Man of Medan, was revealed last year and focuses on a group of friends who are diving for treasure but find something much more sinister. Earlier this week, we got a new trailer with official release date. It'll be launching August 30th, 2019. Will be available on PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. And it has some, if you go and watch it, it's got some serious Ghost Ship vibes. And it looks pretty damn good. The game's supposed to be about 3 hours from what I was reading. So it's a very relatively short game. I don't know what it's priced at yet because at the time of writing the article, they didn't have pre-order links yet. But anyone interested in this? I know Sam's a massive Until Dawn fan. So.
I'm absolutely interested. Until Dawn was fantastic, and the idea of more spin-off titles in the vein of Until Dawn, dealing with new cast and new settings, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm absolutely interested.
I'm intrigued.
Whoa! Loud.
God.
I'm intrigued.
Jared just swallowed his mic hold. It just
put a timestamp warning in there for our headphone listeners, okay?
Rest in peace, headphone listeners. That
Jared just went.
What, did we all of a sudden get really loud?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude. You. It sounded like you ate your mic. Like,
Wow. Really? Because I wasn't even talking that loudly, I don't think. But damn, sorry about that, guys. I have no control over that one.
Contain your excitement. Eric, what about you? You in for this?
Hell yeah. Well, sorry. I don't know what that was I just said. Hell yeah.
Hell,
Hell yeah.
It's a little bit of hell, a
Right
little
now.
bit of heck. Yes. I'm absolutely interested. Until Dawn is fantastic. I still to this day think Sony had no idea what game they had on their hands. And that's a talented team. So this looks awesome. This is like right up my alley.
that game was thrown away. I mean, I say thrown away, but it was like, yeah, okay, this is a title. It's fine. There was basically no marketing for it, and it's one of my favorite PlayStation games of the entire generation.
And to back up what Colin Moriarty said, because he says it too, like they had no idea that game just fell in their lap, and they had no idea what to do with it, or they didn't care. He said that game should have been a Halloween game and the whole nine. And yeah, and I tell people all the time, like if you're looking for a great showcase for PlayStation and a great game for PlayStation, if you just pick one up, add that to your library.
And see, I'm excited for this game, but I have the guilty thing of I got Until Dawn through PS Plus when I first bought a PlayStation 4. Like I saved a trial for PS Plus for when eventually a game I really wanted came on. So I used my 14-day trial to get Until Dawn, but I ended up having work speed up and then my trial ran out, so I couldn't play it. And it's just been sitting there installed on my hard drive, but I'm like, I have to buy PS Plus for that. And I just have never played it because of that. So I need to buy
1 month.
Yeah, I think I'm going to buy a month probably after I finish up Rage 2 and give it a shot because I think it'd be a great palate cleanser game. I was going to play it for Halloween this year, but I honestly, now with this game coming out in August, I can't wait. I need to experience it sooner rather than later.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
A little quick note for people that are super into FPS games like myself. Wolfenstein Youngblood got a new gameplay trailer. So basically it just shows off some of the gameplay, some of the bosses you'll be fighting. It's very brief. It's only about 40 seconds, I believe. It's important to note for the audience that this game will be available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC July 26, 2019. And the Deluxe Edition allows you to gift a pass to your friend so you can play it with a friend who doesn't own the game.
No Steelbook.
No Steelbook.
Losers.
I'm going with the basic one since there's no Steelbook and the basic version has the way better box art. So
Okay.
I may actually go digital.
that's also a possibility. But I'm saying if you get the disc version, get the standard.
Yep, I said the same thing, Sam.
I sinned. I bought the deluxe and the standard.
Man, they're raking it in from you, aren't they?
Yeah, man. They're like, we like this guy, Nick.
I like when I say I'm the FPS guy at the inner circle. I'm not kidding.
He is.
I literally like if people are like, oh man, I like there was a guy I follow on Twitter and he's like, man, I really want to play Dusk, but I don't know if I'd like it. I literally gifted to him on Steam. I'm like, go play this game. It's the best FPS game this past year. Go play it now. Like I am converting people to that FPS games are better than anything else. I'm really excited for Wolfenstein Youngblood. I'm really excited for the co-op. Co-op Wolfenstein was on my checklist of things that I wanted to become co-op. There's just like we might do an episode discussion topic at some point of like top 5 games that you wish they had co-op. And Wolfenstein is on my list of games that I always wanted to have co-op. And now it does. So I'm like, yes. I also want to throw out that if Dishonored ever decided to add co-op in, I'd probably like die of excitement. So
they announced another Dishonored at E3. I'm going to lose it. It would be about time.
Well, Arcane. Okay, so to be fair, Arcane has 2 studios, granted, and they do great work that way. But Arcane Austin made Prey Mooncrash, which came out the big great expansion that came out last year, and Arcane Lyon has been helping with the development of Wolfenstein Youngblood. So I wouldn't gamble. It's certainly possible. I wouldn't gamble on it, though. I think next year would be more certain for a Dishonored reveal.
I think Dishonored is, if they're smart with it, they're going to wait to put it on next gen, because I think Dishonored has had an amazing run with Dishonored 2 and Death of the Outsider, and I would like to see what Arcane can do with next generation hardware. Like, I'm not a graphics must be amazing thing, but I think Dishonored's world building and level design could really benefit from next generation CPUs.
That would be like a great launch thing, like for next gen console.
A great title for 2020, early 2021.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it'll fall. So everyone's buying Wolfenstein Youngbloods here, right?
Damn right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jared?
Sorry?
Jared!
You're buying Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Jared only buys failing open world games.
Oh my god.
That should be a known fact by now. Of course. No, yeah, I'll be buying it. Don't you worry about it. I buy every Wolfenstein game.
So in some combination, we'll all be able to squad up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that game. Arcane level designs with Wolfenstein gunplay. I'm all for it. And then to add in 2 female protagonists to make people squirm on forums. Awesome.
Yeah.
SJW bullcrap.
You know, I'll be honest, it's kind of nice to see them experiment a little bit with this on not such a big title, but on, you know, like a small half-price title sort of thing. Because it really works out. It's a good way to implement it later on, potentially into an actual full game, right?
Like, imagine, bear with me on this. Imagine they release this and people eat this up and they love it. And then so you go, okay, so people really love the Blazkowicz twins. So for Wolfenstein 3, you're going to rotate playing the Blazkowicz twins and BJ. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
There's great story writing opportunity to make it a family thing. And like, let's face it, Wolfenstein 2, not Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein Shadow of the Colossus, I have my complaints with the game, with like some things, but the storytelling and the writing of that game was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the pacing too, man.
Oh, the pacing. Yeah. The courtroom still goes down as one of my favorite story and level designs in a first-person shooter.
Yeah,
because that was just.
And then that started the third act. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I was like, we're doing this. Yeah. We're doing this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's no way this could really happen, but we're gonna do this. We are in video game territory. Let's go.
I think that's what I love about the Wolfenstein games is like just when you think it's kind of based in reality, it just throws it right out the window. Like they don't gently like lure you in. Right. They just like kick you in the nuts and kick you out the window. They just like Sparta kick you out the window and go, there goes the realism. Next topic is Sony IR Day 2019. Next generation PlayStation is immersive and seamless. So during Sony IR Day 2019 is the presentation for investors. Sony talked a fair bit about what to expect next generation and different areas in which the company was investing in. This is also the where a lot of people got that Jim Ryan quote where he said, backwards compatibility is an important cornerstone of the PlayStation 5. And people were like, well, wait a minute. You said no one wanted to play old games 2 years ago. It's amazing what a promotion will do for you. So thanks to Sam's great article, we have some bullet points of the most important information that was released on this. So the PlayStation 4 will remain the engine of engagement and profitability for the next 3 years, which is interesting. So that means if you're on a you just bought a PlayStation 4, you still have a few years of support left in it, so don't worry and waffle and be like, oh no, I have to buy a PS5 next year. You don't have to. They're still going to support it. Sony Interactive, SIE believes in the strength of owned IP with games like God of War selling over 10 million copies, which is a metric ton. The next generation will support discs, download, and streaming, which everyone kind of figured. 2 keywords of the future are seamless and immersive, which will be accomplished using an SSD in the next console while leveraging Remote Play and PlayStation Now. If anyone missed it, I wrote an article in regards to PS4 Pro performance versus PS5 performance and the speeds at which they download. Sony Online Interactive, is focused on reducing costs moving forward, though their ability to do so is limited by the transition next gen. Next gen is expensive for all companies. Other little tidbits that are more pertinent. I'm not going to talk about PlayStation Now data centers or anything like that. There are currently 700,000 PS Now subscribers. And one Sony collaboration will have Sony Music working with Sony developers in the newly announced PlayStation Productions. So, pretty cool stuff. Sony's doing well. They've made some great games. PlayStation 4 is not going anywhere anytime soon. PlayStation 5 is looking great. Not really anything that's really groundbreaking in terms of information. Though the one thing that surprised me, and like no one take this as a fanboy shot, I'm really surprised at how low PS Now subscriber numbers are.
Yeah, like, I saw that in the bullet point.
It's been around since what, 2014?
Yeah. Well, like, I hate doing the ratios because ratioing stuff doesn't make, like, it's stupid. But you're telling me that out of like the 90 plus million PS4s, they only have 700,000 PS Now subscribers?
Well, not only that, but it also works on PCs. So you got to keep that in mind as well. It's open to the PC marketplace as long as you have a PlayStation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too. Like, this will be a very low number. I still don't believe people still play on PS3 in 2019. But is PS Now available on PS3 or no?
No, it was available through PlayStation TV. Literally PlayStation TV, you know, remember that little $30, $40 streaming box thing they had? It was available on those, it was available on PS3s, and it was available on Sony TVs, and it was available on Vita. Sony pulled all of those in 2017.
R.I.P. the Vita.
Yeah, down to PS4 and PC, right?
Right, they culled it down to just those. Yeah. Right. So, but still, the PS4 is the lion's share of the market. Between those two, it is surprising, without playing the ratio game, that they're only at 700,000 subscribers. And leaning a little into speculation, I feel like it has to do with the reliability of the service and quality, and that lends credence to why they're partnering with Microsoft.
I definitely agree, because the thing is well, I've always said with PS Now, the first video I did on this channel was actually 3 things that they could do to improve PS Now, most of which they've implemented. So I'm right again. I just want to point that out.
All right, you like BG.
Hey, I'm not right very often. I got a showboat when I am. PlayStation Now, no one can deny that library is amazing. Like, it's like 650 games, and they've got almost every worthwhile PS3 game on there.
Mm-hmm.
But the reliability of the service is less than great. Like, if you have amazing internet, it runs great. But, like, there's guys that have very good internet that I've seen that are like, yeah, there's still input lag on some of these games, and, like, as a general rule of thumb, people are like, yeah, it's great for the PS4 games you can download. The PS3 games can be hit or miss depending on the game. Yada, yada, yada. That's why I'm really excited for them looking into backwards compatibility for next generation, because then we don't have to rely on PS Now to play the previous titles.
I think part of it is definitely reliability. I think the bigger part of it is that lack of being able to download those older titles. I think if people were able to download like PS3,
mm-hmm.
and just play those without having to deal with, also having the added hurdle of whether their internet quality is good enough to handle it. Yeah, and I definitely think, it's just at least my own speculation, I definitely think you're going to see more of a solution to try to Game Pass a lot of that library for the next generation.
Well,
because it is much more attractive to be able to download a game until the streaming thing really does kind of implement and take off a little bit more. It's just too early. It's too early for that to be like a thing.
My biggest thing is, like, you can't tell me, like, we know PS4 is backwards compatible, or like PS5 is going to be backwards compatible with PS4. Mark Cerny straight out said that. And then people speculate and were like, oh, he means every generation of PlayStation console. That's not what he said.
No.
People need to stop running with that.
I would love it, but no.
I would love it. I would. If they went PS5's backwards compatible all the way to PS1, I'd buy 5 of the damn things on launch day, okay? Like, no one understands, as harsh as I am on PlayStation, Their library is one of my favorites. Like, one of my favorite IPs of all time is Resistance, which is locked behind the PS3.
Yeah.
All the good Killzone games are locked behind PS3. Thank God we have a Ratchet and Clank game on PS4 that's great, because most of the good ones are locked away on PS3. And
And here's the thing, and I think we said this before on past podcasts. I truly do believe that they're not like completely blind. I do think they see what the 360 back compatibility has done, for Xbox, right? And I know, and people can say all day what they want. Well, they can feel how they want to feel about backwards compatibility. I know people like to send up the flare, like, I don't want to play old games, and I don't do that. But the fact of the matter of having... Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. Jared, you got any thoughts while Eric steps away for a moment?
No, not really about it. It's just... At least it's not too many thoughts. It's important to have that legacy of your old games, your old generations to move forward, because you don't want them locked behind that digital wall of something old and gone again, right? You don't want it to fade away into history. That's a lot of work, a lot of time that all these people put into. It's like, okay, these movies came out 10 years ago, but now we're just going to kind of shove them away somewhere where you can't access them ever again, and you'll just have to remember what you remember of them. You'll never be able to watch them again. That's kind of a crappy thing to do. That's not pro-consumer. That's not a good thing to do at all. So, taking that onward and forward, you're letting that legacy live on. And it's something I hope will continue to live on all forms, if it can.
I'm back, guys. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No worries, buddy.
But what I was saying before, I kind of feel that they probably have an R&D department in there somewhere trying to figure out how to get PS3 to emulate on PS4. Or not PS4, on PS5, right? Because there was a time that Sony was committed to backwards compatibility, and I think it came at a time, even with 360, they had a full list of backwards compatibility, but you didn't hear as much about it because people had a nonstop flow of library, right? It became very important. And I know people will say, well, that's all Microsoft had to lean on. Out of necessity for having something for their fan base, something great was put forth, right? And something that people initially weren't really asking for, but it's a great thing. Legacy, backwards compatibility is here. People kind of want that, right? So I definitely kind of think that Sony's probably looking into it. I would be surprised if they weren't at least looking into it. Whether they can do it, that's a whole different story. That's based on the architecture, right?
Look.
And I know people were doing the whole console war thing when they were doing PS4 or PS2 on PS4, right? Well, they're charging you. Okay, it's one of those things where it's like, how many people have like readily available PS2 games laying around, or even PS1? Guess what? If they decide to go that route, you're gonna probably have to pay some digital pricing to get it, or pay a ridiculous price to someone on eBay to get a copy of it. The 360 thing worked because a lot of that was readily available. People either had it digitally, or you can go into GameStop and find the game for pretty cheap. The Xbox, original Xbox emulation, not so much. So that's why it's great that it's digital and it's there and you pay a fee for it. It's the same thing. But the fact of the matter is you have access to it and availability.
Look, the thing is like game curation and like taking care of your past is so important now. Like there's a whole website that's called abandonware.com. And what it is it's a website full of games that have lost licenses, aren't available, aren't manufactured anymore, and they're downloads. And if the game's available digitally, you can't download the game. It'll redirect you to either Steam or GOG or wherever the game's available to download. But if the game's available nowhere, they offer you the files to download it. The thing is there's so many, like, you look at, like, PlayStation, Xbox, and everything. Like, PlayStation's catalog especially, their back catalog from PS1 to PS2 to PS3 is so rich. There's so many games. Like, you will be hard-pressed to ask someone who came from playing those generations and going, what was your favorite game? You can ask 10 guys that have played every PlayStation console, what was your favorite game? I guarantee you they'd all have different answers. Like, my favorite PS2 game, Radiata Stories. It's a JRPG from Square Enix that barely anyone knows, but was my favorite damn game.
I was going to say, you just made that up.
You know what? I've been looking at JRPG names for something recently. Don't ask why, and he's not making it up.
No.
Some of these names get crazy, man.
Yeah.
The game was amazing. I love it. I rebought a PS2 and a PS2 copy of the game. The PS2 copy of the game cost me $113.
Yeah.
And I bought it, and I played it for like 150 hours because I love that game. But if you can give me a natural way, and you can't tell me with all the teraflops in the world, we can't grab a PS3 game and wrestle it to work on a PS5. You can't tell me you can't just like choke the Resistance franchise down, just slap it in the face to make it work on PS5. That's all I want. I just get Resistance off of the PS3. It's all I want.
Even on the PS3 that people like really want to play.
Yeah.
Have access to.
The thing is like it was the opposite. Like Xbox 360 had no like issues with like Xbox Live and everything else. That was fine. The great games were great, but PS3 it was like like the console. Like you had to fight the console, but there were so many great games on it.
Mm-hmm.
And people often get too tied up in how bad the console was versus how good the games were. Like everyone looks back on the PS3 and you're like, wow, that was a terrible console. Like the original controller for it and everything else. But the thing is that damn, there's so many good games for that, and that's why I like. That, like you said, Microsoft brought backwards compatibility back out of necessity. And now that Sony's like, we need to match them with this, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, there's games I'm not going to get around to this generation. But I'll have time. Probably not, but at least the thought's there.
Yeah, don't jinx yourself just yet, buddy.
Like, I can't wait to play The Witcher 3 on 144 FPS and 8K on my PS5 in 2020.
The Witcher 3 remastered. What? How?
Actually, I'm kind of hoping that with both Xbox and PlayStation bringing backwards compatibility, we won't get prototype 1 and 2 quote-unquote remasters for $60 this time around.
I don't think they can get away with that.
Ooh, those are bad. That was so bad.
Yeah. But
let's not talk about that.
The time of remasters is over. The time of backwards compatibility lives.
Now.
So our final closeout topic is the thing that everyone seems to care about except for me. Microsoft reveals new Project xCloud details. If you're excited for this, awesome for you. I still can't think about playing video games on my phone. It drives me nuts. But for those that are interested, because this is really interesting news. Last year, Microsoft announced Project xCloud. They're planning to bring console quality gaming to any device. In a new article on Xbox Wire, Kareem
Chowdhury.
I was going to say that, but did not seem to roll out the right way. Corporate Vice President of Gaming Cloud at Microsoft providing an update on the stats and capabilities of Project xCloud. Trimmed down version is that Project xCloud has the technical capability to stream more than 3,500 games without any changes or modifications required by a developer. In other words, developers will be able to dramatically scale their existing games across devices with no additional development, no additional costs, no additional code-based maintenance, and no separate updates. So when it basically, in simple talk, when a developer updates the Xbox One version of the title, those updates will apply to all versions available on Project xCloud with any additional work.
Yep. PS4, Switch, PC, all at the same time. Doesn't matter what platform, it's there.
Yep. And it's also important to note that they're
changing coding too, by the way.
Yep. And the one snippet that everyone's clipped and turned into thousands upon thousands of YouTube videos is that there are currently more than 1,900 games in development for all Xbox One, all of which could run on Project xCloud. Developers creating these games continue to work normally, building with the tools they have, while we do the work to make their games accessible to the broader set of players possible. So Microsoft is being really smart with this. They're not asking developers to do anything extra. They're like, we're doing this and it benefits you, which I think is a really smart way of approaching it.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, developers, like, development is expensive as it is. So if you're to say developers, oh, you can put stuff on Project X Cloud, but you got to put a little bit more time, effort, and money into it. People will be like, is it really worth it? But if you're just making your game and it can be played on X Cloud because Microsoft has the tools at their disposal to make it, that's great for developers. It's great for people that are interested in the service. So you guys have any thoughts on this?
It's neat. Nothing really beyond that right now. It's neat. The technical capacity is cool. I look forward to them talking about it a bit at E3. We'll see how it goes from there.
Well, I guess for me, it kind of made sense as to why Sony wanted to partner up with Microsoft for, the xCloud and Azure in general for the streamlining process of their development of their games through the developers, especially if they're multi-platform games in general. If they're time exclusive and whatnot, like Sam said, on a technical capacity is very, very cool. I can see why everybody would kind of want to jump onto it, because whoever's left out, to me, would make the developer not want to develop a game for that platform who is not a part of that current network, right? So let's say if Nintendo's left out, but they have a PlayStation, Xbox, PC, all part of the cloud network, they can develop a game through that. And then let's say if there's Nintendo Switch left out and it takes extra coding and time and effort and money to just send out a game for coding wise for the Switch, they may not be inclined to do that because it's just a lot easier to focus on that one aspect. But who knows? There's a lot of little things, but in general, it's just a really cool thing.
Eric?
Yep, like Sam said, it's neat. Just need more details and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm still not doing cartwheels over what game streaming means, but hey, that's kind of how it all is. Sometimes you have to be led to something.
You have to believe in the Fugle, Eric. You have to believe in
What? Going full Fugle around here.
Well, you got to look at it. I'm kind of looking at it also from a development standpoint, because now they have the potential to have all this extra focus and time onto potential more aspects of the game instead of into actually doing the coding and putting it onto multiple platforms. This cuts down a lot of that time that they could be using on other things, right? So who knows? Maybe that will help out a lot of indie studios and the smaller studios to polish up and put out a better product. Who knows?
Yeah, the whole game streaming thing, I live in Canada, like Jared does. And let me tell you, we pay for our data on our cell phones. There's no unlimited data plans for cell phones up here. So the chances of me streaming games to my phone is about zero, unless there's Wi-Fi where I'm traveling. So I understand in the States that you guys have unlimited phone data, but unlimited internet is like this witchcraft thing. So it's a different scenario. But
hey, but also, in a lot of cases we do have unlimited data, but there are caveats to that. Usually it's unlimited up until a certain amount, and then you get throttled.
Oh, they give you, they're like, it's unlimited at this price, but after you hit a certain point, we're gonna choke the hell out of you.
Yeah, all they're really saying is we just won't charge you extra if you go over, but we'll slow you down. Yeah.
Nothing worse than buffering during porn. That's the worst. Should be a damn crime.
Man. Oh boy.
But I'm interested in the technology. I'm not I don't know. I drive truck for work. I drive forklift. My job isn't one of those things where I can sit at my desk and play The Witcher 3 on my mobile phone.
Yeah, we're not pussy.
Yeah. I don't know what he does for a living, but I want it. And I play my Vita, but my Vita's for when I'm too lazy to sit at my desk and play games and I just want to lay on the floor, I'll play my Vita. And yes, I'm a 6'5" man that will lay in the middle of my living room floor with my Vita.
How do you get back up?
I don't. I just kind of roll around for the remainder of the day. Once I'm down, I don't get back up.
That'd be at 6'7". Sarah's like, "Get on the floor with me, Daddy." I'm like, can I just sit on this ottoman? That's close to the floor, right?
But you reach that point where it's like, if I go down, I'm not getting back.
Yeah, We're down here for a while, girl. So whatever you want to play, we're gonna be here a minute.
You bring Daddy his dinner, I can't get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point with how bad my back's been the past few weeks. I'm going to need to start getting a life alert bracelet for when I'm in bed. It's just been terrible. I'm just like, I got out of bed the other morning and like my back seized up. I'm like walking like I can't even bend my legs. And my wife's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Woke up a little stiff." I'm like, "Ah, ah."
I can run, I'd chase you.
Freaking walking through the house like Frankenstein from the black and white movies. Because I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
One day you will be screaming out in actual horror, saying, "I've fallen down and I can't get up."
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before, but I was very drunk.
This is without alcohol in the system here.
I have Irish heritage. There's never not alcohol in my system. I don't know.
All right. I'll give you that one.
With it.
All right, so yeah, this pretty much wraps up the podcast. We've got a big E3 episode planned for the week after. We're getting down to the nitty-gritties. We're going to do a whole episode where we cover every inch of E3 with this great cast. And, of course, over the upcoming 2 weeks, me and Sam have been working very diligently, more importantly today, on E3 prediction videos for all of the conferences, all separate videos. So that way, if you guys are more interested in our thoughts on Bethesda, you can look at that. You're more interested in the Xbox stuff, you can look at that. You can look at Sony's, and never mind, I mean Square Enix's E3 conference. So there's tons of stuff content-wise that's going to be coming down the pipes. We've been working really hard to bring more stuff to you guys. And shout out to all the people that have been checking out our Days Gone video, which is now the highest viewed video on my channel, which is nearing 1,000 views. Appreciate the support on that one. And shout out to Sam for taking on that horde and making it look easy. So yeah, it's been a great couple of weeks, and with the wind up to E3, it's only going to get better. So we'll do outros here. So Sam, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. Come talk to me about games, movies, geeky stuff, tech, whatever. Talk to me about Game of Thrones. I'm happy to discuss all that stuff. I'm going to be in LA in under 2 weeks at this point, and I am busy prepping. So yeah, if you're going to be in LA for E3, hit me up. I'll be happy to hang out.
Right on. And Jared?
Well, people can also find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X or over on TickGamesNetwork.com.
Right on. And Eric, where can people find you?
In Sekiro.
I'm just gonna log into the game. I'm gonna get the game back from my friend like 8 months from now. I'm gonna log into the game, and Eric's just gonna be singing the game cross-legged.
It's like Jumanji, man. It's like how long have I been here?
What year is this?
Then when I come out, there's a new Modern Warfare, and I'm like, I didn't go anywhere.
I went back in time.
No, 10 years later. So, but no, seriously, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. And when I'm not here, I'm on Brat Podcast Wednesday nights at 9:00.
Right on. And I highly recommend giving all those great people a follow as well. And you can, of course, find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. Be careful if you follow me, because I have a tendency to make really off-color jokes, as Jared found out yesterday. And yeah. And, of course, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on all social media accounts, and we appreciate your support. And, of course, you can also, if you choose to, support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/gamingperspective. There's some big changes coming to that pre-E3, so keep an eye out for that, doing some exclusive stuff for people that support us on Patreon, so I'm really excited to bring you guys that stuff. So thank you for listening to Gaming Perspective Podcast, episode 3, and we will see you next week with an E3 predictions episode that will be the total bee's knees.